Hi, I'm Jen Sue, and you're watching Joburg Today.
Have you ever felt like you needed help when someone was being mean to you? Yes.
What you're watching is part of an awareness campaign dealing with bullying at schools. This campaign was held in Wonderboom, Gauteng. By educating parents, children and teachers with the assistance of local authorities, it is hoped that everyone will understand that bullying is a form of abuse and an infringement of a person's rights and dignity. It was a week-long campaign to mobilize all sectors of society to care for and protect children.
Most people don't know it, but I was bullied my entire high school career. It's changed me as a person. I grew up without a father, and it's changed me. And I wish that things changed or turned out differently. So hopefully I could make a difference somewhere by telling my story. School is supposed to be one of the fun times for any child. I absolutely hated school. I absolutely hated going to school. It affected me. I would have loved to have done sport at school. I had to do everything after school. So a lot of things could have changed. I just think that children should never give up on their dreams. I went through a rough time, and if you compare who I was when I was young until now, it's two different people. And we do grow up eventually, and we do have people in our lives that we can assist. So, I just want to say, never give up on it. Never give up on your dreams, and just keep on believing and keep on fighting.
This campaign, especially in Sinoville, has opened doors for children to feel safe to come to the police and discuss their problems, especially when we look at the bully campaign. And they feel safe because they've met Chopper Cop, they saw Champ, they know that these police officers are there for them to protect them. And we also introduce all the different supporting role players in the community to the children, so they know that there's a safe space that they can go to and speak to someone that can help them.
Parents does come to the police and ask advice. The best advice is always you start at the school. Inform the teachers, inform the school, the principal, and start a paper trail. If you don't have a paper trail, he cannot come back to the police. What we say is exhaust all other avenues. The school, the education department, if you have to go national, you go there. And then when it can't go any further, then we start looking at criminal charges, especially for high school children. Because at the end of the day, we have to protect the children that wants to go to school, that wants to have education, that wants to be there to make something of their lives. That is the big thing that we are looking after.
Luan, David, welcome to Joburg Today. What a pleasure to have you in studio, and thank you for such an inspiring evening covering the topic of anti-bullying. It certainly is a big issue, which is why you are here. Yes. So Luan, please share with us the necessity of running this campaign at schools.
Awesome. Well, thank you firstly for having us. It's great to be here. I think the importance or the necessity of having this in a school is that every school is supposed to have a bullying policy in place. But we often found that either policies aren't always utilized as they should, or that the policies have never actually been practiced. So this campaign was really key to making sure the kids are informed, they know what to do when they're being bullied, and also to know that there is help from local police. Sure. SAPS's involvement with Child Protection Week, and especially with this campaign as well.
You make it sound so simple, but after attending your event last night, I realized a lot of work went into this campaign to actually make it consumable to kids, to actually reach out to children. What are some of the considerations you kept in mind when actually approaching the outreach to children?
For us, it was very specific on the age group and making sure that the showcasing that we did at every school spoke to the actual age group. For the younger primary school kids, it was all about having big characters and actually showcasing the different forms of bullying, because the kids didn't understand what bullying was all about. Yeah. So we made it a lot of fun, but still very serious. Whereas with the high schools, we needed to add a bit of humor to it, so that the kids could laugh and still remember afterwards. But this is a serious kind of message, because you can be arrested. You can
go through the whole process. Yeah. So, and that's, I think, what a lot of people don't understand, that bullying is a form of assault.
Sure. And that's quite serious, isn't it?
There's measures in place to actually help and to actually support.
So what kind of bullying takes place in our schools, Luan?
The bullying that takes place is either going to be in a form of physical bullying, which is often what most parents will relate to when there's a physical bruise or your child got beaten or something happened by a bully. But then there's the emotional side of it. There's the non-verbal side that's also part of that, which is even more dangerous than the physical bullying. And that's what we see leads to the depression in kids. And that's why this is actually so important, is because those kids are not wanting to go to school. They're not wanting to speak up when they don't understand something in class, at the risk or fear of being bullied even further. Or sometimes it's even home situations and socioeconomic reasons that form a part of that. And kids can be very mean, and I think that's what parents also sometimes forget. And the bullies start from somewhere it originated where they were bullied, or there's a necessity for them to want to bully.
Sure.
Which is the thing.
You mentioned earlier that these anti-bullying policies are in place at schools.
Yes, or supposed to be in place and supposed to be.
Are schools taking this seriously?
Some of the schools, yes. A primary school in our area, Magalieskrain, has a fantastic program where the bullies, if there's a bully accident, it gets discussed that day. So the kid doesn't go home before it hasn't been addressed.
Good.
So the bully and the victim, both the parents come in and they form part of the program directly. But for the other schools, it's a work in progress.
It's not always in practice.
And some of the, I don't think all of the schools understand the effect or see the effect of bullying. I've had quite a few schools saying that they, for example, use Christian methods, and that if you're a Christian, you don't get bullied. So there's a lot of education that we also need to kind of do to make sure that these kind of systems get placed.
That sounds confusing, doesn't
it?
Yeah.
And not just that, sometimes the teachers get bullied.
Yeah.
That's
By
the flip
kids?
side of it.
Yes.
That's the flip side.
How does that work?
If you look at social media especially, how quickly
Cyberbullying.
something can get out of hand in a school classroom setup, where the teachers are very often, they don't have control of their classrooms anymore because the kids know the schools don't really have a system to reprimand them very seriously. So what is the teacher really going to do? So there are some cases where even teachers are
And then
involved with that.
it's not just mental or it's physical and verbal bullying that they apply to the teachers, and not just to the teachers, to each other, in class, out class. It's an insane kind of circle that happens when the guys start bullying, or when the victim really, fall apart. They have this whole life scope, and everything just falls apart because the bullies are everywhere.
Yes.
Sure.
And it's this thing of now the group. So the group becomes the bully. It's not just one person or two people now bullying a specific person. It's the group picks up on it, and and it's like the one teacher said last night. They see it and they apply it. So it's also educating them on saying, you know what, this is a form of abuse.
Sure, sounds pretty serious. I'm sure it is.
It is.
You mentioned earlier that it can have all these different kind of impacts on kids, and kids come from a diverse range of backgrounds. Are there support structures in place by schools, the ones that you've worked with, to support kids? I mean, especially kids coming from broken families as such, and they don't really have that strong support from their parents per se.
This is where the uniqueness of the program comes in, because this was ran in association with Sinoville Crisis Centre.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the Crisis Centre is a perfect example of where the support structure is. So there are social workers, there are counsellors available, especially where there needs to be a form of intervention, and where parents must just know what the process is. They need to know that they have to go see the teacher. They've got to escalate it to the discipline teacher. They've got to escalate that to the principal if there's no effect. And from there, they can even go directly to the Department of Education. And then they can turn towards counsellors at these crisis centres and the SAPS.
Sure.
So there are a lot of measures in place. Also, some of the schools do have counsellors in-house. A few of the counsellors you even met yesterday was people that are counselling at schools. So they're involved at a crisis centre but also in school. Not all schools have this. A lot of our rural schools, we don't see that in, where there aren't access to counsellors. So that's why this is so important, to create that awareness and to say, you know what, schools need to start realising that the kids are there to be protected.
Yeah.
For those few hours that the children are there, that should be a safe haven for them. It should be a
Perfect
place
point
where
made,
their
yeah.
confidentiality, their confidence levels are uplifted,
Their
not
rights
broken
are
down.
protected, yeah?
Yes, and where they actually get taught it should be a free and fair environment for everyone, not to be isolated and picked on.
Sure. And the fact that you are, or you're making it aware to parents how to deal with bullying incidents
Yes.
via this campaign, what has been the feedback like from the parents? Did they really buy into the importance of this campaign and the role that they have to play as parents?
Yes, we've had quite a few parents reaching out to us from different areas that wasn't in our direct area, asking how should they just approach this. They see their kids being bullied and they don't know what to do. So that was for me the first thing that I saw, and I really appreciated some of the mothers phoning and going, help, how can we manage this? And for me that was a good sign. And our local areas, the local schools, the parents are very aware of it, and they really supported us at the school. So we had quite a few parents coming out to see the shows. For the primary schools, we land helicopters on the rugby field as part of the activation to really make it fun and a showcase. And you see the parents coming out, you see the parents supporting it there, and it's amazing, because that's what we want. If the parents doesn't help, and you don't have those role players, for example, even our businesses, if we don't have that, we wouldn't be able to do
support.
this. Yes.
But I also think it opened up a line of communication.
Yes.
And I think that's what's important too, is that parents need to realize they need to also communicate with their kids.
Sure.
Very often the kids won't necessarily want to tell the parents they're being bullied.
I was about to bring up that point, because I would imagine that they wouldn't know how to deal with it, and they probably feel maybe a little bit embarrassed.
Yes. Definitely.
That they are
Embarrassed
victims
because
of being-
they're
of being
victims
bullied.
and perhaps not standing up for themselves, which is that's not always the case. It's not always about you just standing up for yourself. How do you do it if a whole classroom is picking on you at once? How do you do it if it's on social media? And very often the kids are scared to talk about that. But parents also don't always have a line of where they feel open to communicate about things.
Sure.
It's easier to sometimes not speak of certain things than it is to speak up. And I think that was the great thing, is the communication that was opened.
Sure, and perhaps also they might see themselves as being weak once they expose the fact that they have been bullied. And also worry about the effect that will have on their reputation, I suppose, because of peer pressure.
And not just peer pressure, cyber. Social media at this point in time is a very dangerous thing.
Yeah.
Cyberbullying is one of the main causes or the main focuses at this point in time, because the children really don't understand, if you put up a picture or if you put up something, there is going to be feedback, and the feedback isn't always going to be positive. So cyberbullying at this point in time is one of those things where you kind of need to know how to approach it, and what is the processes when cyberbullying starts happening. We saw that some of the parents have no idea what kind of bullying their children go through, because it's all digital.
Sure.
There's no physical marks that you can see on your kid. It's just your kid changing overnight.
I want to talk a bit about your company, Exonika. Tell us, why was it so important for you to engage with the schools on this campaign, or to get fully involved in this campaign?
So Exonika is all about brand management, and we truly believe that it's all about experience. We struggled with a suicide in our family, and then directly afterwards we struggled with suicides, children committing suicide at schools. And at that point in time, Luan and I was just saying we need to get involved with the community, and Sinoville Crisis Centre and the local community police reached out to us, and we just decided to grow a showcase that was already starting at the schools to a very bigger level, and really take it to the media and say, you know what, businesses become involved, community get involved.
Participate.
Yeah, please participate, and it's been growing for the last 2 years insanely.
Well, this is a very important cause, so it's very inspiring for you to give that feedback in terms of what your company stands for.
Thank you.
How far are you taking this campaign? I think I'm really interested to find out how
What's
will you
next?
measure the success of this campaign? Yeah.
Well, I think we've already seen the measurability of it in terms of how viral it's gone on social media. You walk in and you talk about Chopper Cop, and people are like, oh yes, they were at the school, it was the Child Protection Week. So
He's the local hero.
it's resonating by talking about it and getting the communication out there. And so it's starting to resonate quite well with people. And we've had comments where someone said online, they left a comment to say, I wish you were there when I was a child.
Yes.
Wow.
At the campaign. And so, you know, so it
We've
shows
had a lot
you,
of those, yeah.
yeah, it shows you that there is a need for it.
And other schools inviting
Children need
us.
heroes,
Yeah.
huh?
Exactly.
Superheroes.
Yes,
So I'm
and
sure
that's
they
what
can
Chopper Cop
relate to
makes.
Chopper Cop.
So
yeah?
there we really have to say, you know, in terms of SAPS also taking
Yes.
this initiative seriously.
The police have been amazing.
It's
I mean,
not
apart from
something they're
just their
shying away
parents, they
from.
need to have some community
Exactly.
leaders that actually
And
show up for them. Yeah.
And stand up for them.
Yes.
And as you noticed maybe last night as well, the actual two policemen that were part of the play and part of the drama approach to it.
Jade just brought it. They were amazing.
Yeah.
And they
I think for me that was amazing to see
Yeah.
such hands-on commitment from the police
Exactly,
at that
and they were
event
super committed.
in particular.
I
You know,
mean,
role playing and acting.
yeah.
One of the measurable things that for me stood out was we do high schools and primary schools first, and then the nursery schools you get to last because there's so many nursery schools that invite us. And when by the time our local hero, Chopper Cop, and Sam, or Champ, Sam's name, Champ,
Yeah.
the Chopper Cop and Champ, when they reached nursery schools, there was quite a few nursery schools that said, Chopper, Chopper, we want to sing you your song.
Wow.
And he stood back and he was like, what song? And the song that we rolled out at the nursery schools, or at the primary schools, was already being sung at the nursery schools. So that was for me so amazing because
is amazing,
the children
yeah.
started speaking. And if your nursery schools kid, or your primary school kid now start speaking to your nursery school kid, we are making the impact that we need.
That is absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing information on this campaign with us. It
Oh, it's
certainly
my
is
pleasure.
an important one, and
is.
we look forward to hearing more from you guys.
Thank you.